What time of year is it?
It's renewal time.
It's renewal time.
For a lot of customers.
And why is that?
Well, because the way the season falls, at least in New England and the central part of the United States where they have snow, usually it's either December 1st the contracts start or April 1st. So it's getting pretty close to that December time. So it's going to be a lot of contracts start then.
So it's either Merry Christmas or April Fool's Day.
You got it.
Here on the West Coast, it's usually January 1st.
Okay.
Generally speaking, it's a
really?
calendar year.
Yep.
Is when most contracts get folded into. But don't be fooled by that, because sometimes there's other fiscal years.
Right.
So we're going to use calendar year mostly. So that would be, you want to do this before. Here's step number one to get a good renewal, right? Know the renewal date. Just simple as that.
Yeah.
When does your contract come up? When is that renewal date?
Right.
Just so you make sure.
Very
So you can start doing some of the planning for that. But first, step one, when does the contract renew?
Right.
Step two, know how it's handled within the contract specifications. Sometimes it's very spelled out. The contract will be going in perpetuity, big word there, Harvester.
Wow,
with no increase if nobody asks for an increase. It just keeps on rolling. Just rolls over, we call it. Keeps rolling.
It's like an auto renew?
Auto renew.
Okay.
And it's not for an increase unless you ask for an increase.
Yeah.
So the customer, and we've been pretty afraid of getting increases lately. There's still some people out there who are still afraid.
Yeah.
But now's a pretty good time to get some increases. So know how it's handled in the contract. What do the specifications spell out on your contract renewal process? Third one would be start the process before the renewal. Don't just wait for the renewal date to expire, then figure it out.
Yeah, you know, a lot of you out there are guilty of that. You wait till the last minute, and I tell you, I think it'd be better if you started 90 days.
Yeah.
90 days. Before 90 days, make sure the property looks great, and then make sure that the customer's happy. And it would be important to do that, because otherwise, if they come to you for the price, now you're on the defensive. It'd be better if you talk to them in advance and start broaching the subject of a price increase. You know, it won't hurt to do that.
Yeah.
Because you haven't gotten maybe you haven't gotten a price increase in a long time. Maybe you're working on a 3-year contract and you haven't got any increases over the 3 years. So now it's time to feel them out and what they think.
Yeah, and then I think the final tip here is know what it costs you to do your business.
Yeah.
You know, you may not have job costing. So I would go to the job itself, go to your supervisor and your crew leaders, and really look at how much time you actually spend on that job, because labor is your biggest cost, right?
Right.
So then how many frequencies you do a year, but know your cost. That's where it starts with everything that on estimating. Know your cost, know your cost, know your cost.
Right. The other thing is too that the base contract might be thin, but you want to try to measure, if you can, and you should be on your financials, what your enhancement work is on the property. So you could have a pretty thin
margin
on your base contract, but they could be giving you 20, 25%, 30% more work on your enhancement side where you're making more money. So you really should be tracking that separately. And if you are, then you can be a little more conservative with what kind of a price you're trying to ask, or what kind of increase you're trying to get.
So it's renewal time, folks. Those are 4 good tips. Know your renewal date.
Yep.
Know how it's worded in the contract. Start your process ahead of time, like 90 days. On real big jobs, I start them a year ahead of time. My renewal process, that far in advance on those real big jobs. And then know your cost.
Yep.
Know your cost. What's the third thing?
Know your cost.
Know your cost.
Yep.
There you go.
So continue to, while this is all happening, one last thing. It all depends on the relationship you have with the property manager. You should be building that all the time, because relationships are everything. So think about that. What's your relationship with the property manager? You should be building it, especially towards the end of the contract. You should be communicating with them and making sure they're happy.
You bet. So let's head Harvester Bill Arman from the West Coast.
Head Harvester Ed LaFlamme from the East Coast.
Go out there and harvest your potential with great renewals.
You got it.